NFL fans, hope you guys are good. As I promised, I said I was going to do my video of the NFL free agency. So here it is. Why don't we start with the AFC East? So the first spot we've got New England, who traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the San Francisco 49ers. In return, they signed Brian Hoyer, who was released from that club. Um, it's quite surprising having seen, especially when you have a guy like Tom Brady who is 40, there is no replacement, and you trade away such a valuable piece, not only of your current team, but also of your foreseeable future. But the New England Patriots tend to do things that no other teams actually manage to do, which is to win games. Um, Despite there's some of their part not being greater, perhaps than certain over some part of other teams. But they have such a very good synergy that allows them to play so well on a consistent basis. So I shouldn't be worried about them, and I don't think you guys are worried. It's the Patriots. They're more likely to end up being in the NFL or the what do you call it, in the AFC playoffs final, and probably make it to the Super Bowl. Onto the Bills, the Buffalo Bills traded for Kelvin Benjamin, and it's a very good move, but a surprising one as well, especially when you take into account the fact that you let go of what do you call it, Sammy Watkins earlier at the start of the season. But Kelvin Benjamin is a totally different type of receiver. He's a big body receiver, not fast, but he's that type of guy that you know he can bail out Taylor whenever he needs help. So in that sense, it's a very good approach. And also, given that the management board currently at the Bills is already aware or already has some familiarity with Kelvin Benjamin. But another move that they actually did was trade away Marcel Darius. Marcel Darius was a very good, a valuable piece of their defense. Even though at times he didn't play, but previous seasons he was quite, like I said, a valuable piece of that defense. But like my coaches say, you only as good as your last game. He's going to make the Jags better because that's where he's being traded. He's been traded to, and the Jags already ranking in the top three, among the top three of defenses, are definitely going to look forward to. Actually, not that they're going to look forward to having him; they already have him there. So he's going to add to that team that already has Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler Jr., as well as Yannick Ngakwe. So that's a very, very good group of pass rushers. The Miami Dolphins, they traded away Joe Ajayi to the Eagles for some picks. It's a certain type of move that, I mean, many people probably seen it coming, especially when you think about the previous season where he didn't make the trip to, I think, may have been against Seattle. He didn't make the trip to Seattle, but it's one of those moves that you feel like it's more about creating a better environment for the team as a whole. I feel like Joe Ajayi is a very good running back, and as you can see, and for most of the people that have actually seen it during his first game against against the Broncos for the Philadelphia, the guy is a baller. He can play. This is a good an added piece for the Eagles, but for the Miami Dolphins, I don't know. With the New York Giants, the New York Jets, they traded for Rashad Robinson and from the 49ers and Rashad Robinson is a second-year player. It's coming to a new environment where you've got very good group of young players. You know, you've got the safety. They actually drafted two safeties in I think the first and second rounds of this year's draft. Jamal Adams being one of them. So it's a good group of young people, especially given that their team is actually currently the sixth youngest team. So when you add another kid, another young guy who's you can actually allow your team, they can actually grow with your current team. In the future, it looks good, and I feel like the Jets have been a surprise for perhaps the entire NFL. Onto the AFC South, we've got the Tennessee Titans. Uh, Not much has been happening there, so even though I was surprised when Marcus Mariota got hurt, instead of perhaps signing Colin Kaepernick, they went for Brandon Whedon. So it's the politics of the NFL. So onto the Jags, like I mentioned about the Bills, they traded for Marcel Darius, so a good asset for them. And yeah, hopefully they can win the division and probably if not win the division, probably make it all the way to the Super Bowl. They've got the defense to take them there. It's just down to the QB to do it just enough to get them to the promised land. The Texans, they lost Deshaun Watson, and there were calls for Colin Kaepernick to be signed, given that he's the type of guy that probably or most likely fits your system. But then they went for someone that hasn't played for about 3 or 4 years. So politics again, but hopefully it works for them. If it doesn't, they do that loss because Colin Kaepernick, even though he hasn't played for some time, he hasn't been more than 2 or 3 years. So it was only last season. So the guy can still ball. I believe he can still ball. If you go get him, hopefully you can add something to your team. But they didn't. And they also traded Dwayne Brown to the Seattle Seahawks. In return, they were supposed to get Jeremy Lane, but Jeremy Lane failed the medical. So Jeremy Lane is actually stayed in Seattle, and they've got an extra pick, I think the second one. So hopefully that's going to help them. I don't know, but yeah. Onto the Colts, they haven't had much luck. Whether it's a QB that's hurt, you've also got one of your young brightest talent in Malik Hooker, who's also been put on IR. So it's tough. It's been a tough season for them, but Jacoby Brissett is doing enough to carry the team, and I believe he will do enough until Locks come back. They probably won't win the division, currently last. So it's not looking good for them. But hopefully next season, if they were to draft another QB, which most NFL teams tend to do, they could probably be in a good direction. Onto the NFC North, the Pittsburgh currently leading. There were rumors surrounding Martavis Bryant leaving, wanting to be traded away simply because of being outshined by Juju Smith-Schuster. But it's a complex situation. Martavis believes that is number one. Is it not number one? It could be a number one somewhere else, but it's a number two in the team, and it doesn't get the treatment that number two should deserve. In a certain sense, he's telling the truth, but in other sense as well, if you were to go back to Martavis Bryant, the games he has missed, the reason why he missed them, then you understand why this team is more likely to go with Juju Smith-Schuster. Second place in the AFC North, we've got We've got the Baltimore Ravens. There's barely any news regarding them, so I'm going to simply move on to the next team, which are the Cincinnati Bengals and also the Cleveland Browns, who are actually currently last in that division. At the end of the trade deadline, there were talks surrounding the fact that the Browns wanted to trade for AJ McCarron. The Browns already have Cody Kessler. They've got Deshaun Kaiser. Why would you need AJ McCarron? I don't think the league has been able to see enough for AJ McCarron for you to actually try to draft him. So it's quite a surprising move, but it's the Browns. They always make surprising moves. They've one bad news in their regards, probably the fact that they lost Joe Thomas for the year. It's been an absolute trooper for them. So I hope he gets well very soon, and we can't get to see him back on the field. Onto the AFC West, the Chiefs. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. In my predictions, I thought they would win the game, but they weren't. They didn't make any plays. Even though they welcome back somebody, hopefully you can allow them to go in a better direction. But the Chiefs, they need to get back on the right path. Oakland Raiders, they signed now Bowman, having been released from the 49ers, and yes, I feel like he's added some depth or some perhaps some more experience into that defense in order as middle linebacker. So hopefully you can have that defense. You've got a very good QB. Hopefully he can lead you as well to the promised land. You just need the defense to probably do their part. The LA Chargers currently third in that division. In that division, there is now news surrounding them. Onto the Broncos, the bench. Trevor Simeon for Osweiler, who they signed for the minimum prior to the start of the season. Osweiler is a conflicting subject in the sense that they could have had him in the facility about 2 years ago. He refused the offer that was given to him, and he went somewhere else. He went somewhere else. That didn't materialize. That departure didn't materialize, and then now he's back. So they've got to deal with him. Onto the NFC. We'll start with the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles. They are the cream of the cream at the moment. The cream. They are literally balling out. They are showing that they are winning business. Even though they lost Jason Peters for the year, they were able to trade for Jay Ajayi, who's going to add some more depth into that running back, as well as when you think about the fact that they have a guy like Garrett Blount. Even though they lost some key pieces, Darren Sproles, Jordan Hicks, in defense, they're able to reshuffle the lineup in the sense that you don't actually those guys, those key pieces are not missed. So it's been a really good it's been a really good season, you could say. Good season so far for them. The Dallas Cowboys, the question that everyone asks themselves is, will Zeke play till the end of the season? We don't know. I don't know. Many people probably don't know. So we'll move on to the next team, the Washington Redskins, who have been plagued by many injuries. They signed up to 8 players during the span of the past 2 weeks, because almost the entire starting offensive lineup has been plagued by injury. So the manner in which they were able to go to Seattle and beat Seattle at CenturyLink Field is quite impressive, and you've got to take your hat off to them. And I'm as a fan of the Washington of the Capitals team, I was quite impressed. I didn't back them to beat Seattle, having seen what Seattle did to Deshaun Watson, but that defense is proven to be worthy of consideration. Onto the Giants. It has kind of been it's like messy affair so far with the Giants. You got Odell, and you got no Brandon Marshall. Vernon missed a couple of games. The suspensions left and right. If it's not Roger Cromartie, it's General Jenkins. There's talk related to the fact that related to the coach. News that he has lost to the locker room. It's not a good look on the Giant organization, but also in terms of business. This is a team that many had expected to perhaps get to the Super Bowl, albeit injuries put aside, but hasn't been it for them. And now there's reports surrounding the fact that they're looking at Sam Darnold. So that should be an interesting thing. Onto the NFC North, we've got the Vikings. They also had an up and down season. Dalvin Cook being put on IR, who for some time also, as well as for some time, looked like a potential rookie of the year. But there is good news as well. You got Sam Bradford, who's coming off IR, and Sam Bradford was going on IR, and then you got Teddy Bridgewater, coming off IR. So that's some good news in that part. On the Lions, they there's not much to say. They won against the Packers for almost 25 years. So it's probably the only best news that can be said about them. The Packers, in terms of free agency, there wasn't much as well. They lost Aaron Rodgers for perhaps the season, the 16 games, playoffs were unsure if they make it. Currently stated at third. They released Marty Bennett today based on injuries, and the Bears seated at the last position. They also lost Zach Miller, who's been on IR. They've managed to replace him with a sort of second year tight end, so hopefully he can help fill that void. On to the NFC South with the Saints during the off-season, then they traded him to the Cards. This actually allowed their current running backs to have more freedom and be able to play. So for the past 5 games, Alvin Kamara has been out. He's been able to average at least over 100 yards from scrimmage yard. So that's room for players to evolve, to improve. And you've got Mark Ingram as well, who's going to run the ball. So that has been, in a certain sense, a good move. On to the Panthers. They traded away Kelvin Benjamin, hoping that Devin Funchess would be the guy, but their running game hasn't kicked off as such, or as yet. So Cam has been the main show, but can he sustain such this amount of runs per game? Because you are the QB at the end of the day. So this is something that has to be can't be put aside. So you can't be running around like a running back on, I don't know, 5-10 runs per game. It's not healthy. So this is something they probably have to look at more with more details. Onto the Falcons, there's also no major news, but I feel also Julio Jones is not healthy. He's not fully healthy. I've been seeing him play against the Panthers. I didn't feel like this guy was fully healthy, but it would be good to see him healthy. This guy can ball, so I can't wait to see him healthy. Onto the Tampa Bay, Winston, Jameis Winston is put on. He's been put. He's going to be on the bench for some time in order for him to heal from his shoulder. We've got his receiver Mike Evans, who's been suspended for sideline altercations. And the question to ask is, can Fitzpatrick actually take that team where they need to be? They've got weapons. They've got good tight ends, Cameron Braid, O.J. Howard. You've got Deshaun Jackson on the side, and you've got Mike Evans as well. So their team is loaded with talents. It's up to the QB, whoever it may be. The defense, okay. It's up to the QB to take the team to, like I say, the promised land. Onto the final topic, onto the NFC West. You got the LA Rams. There's no major news apart from the fact that they are bowling. The LA Rams are bowling, and that's all I've got to say. Next team, the Seahawks. They lost to, like I said, they lost to Washington. They also traded for Dwayne Brown, which allowed Russell Wilson not to always run for his life. But the trade for Dwayne Brown meant that because Jeremy Lane failed the physical, he actually ended up staying. So that's another QB, that's another cornerback that you can actually add to your defense and to help you in the foreseeable future. The Cardinals traded for AP, like I said, and AP for me is going to probably run the show if they give him the ball. I don't know. Last week they gave him the ball for 36, 37 times, which is his own career high. We're talking about AP's been in this league for how many years, but this is the first time he's had such amount of carry, and he's over the age of 30. But this guy is top dog, and I believe he can keep on doing things like this. Onto the 49ers, we traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. He didn't play. Instead, it was Beathard who started the game. They lost. to the cards. They've put Pierre Garçon on IR. You've also released Navarro Bowman. You signed Brian Hoyer. You released Brian Hoyer, and then you traded away Richard Robinson to the Jets. So there's also talk surrounding the fact that they don't actually believe they will sign Garoppolo to a long-term contract. So what's happening there? Whatever's happening there, I'm unsure of, but I hope we do get it right. They've drafted some very good defensive pieces, especially in the front over the past 2-3 years. So hopefully they should try to look at that aspect and develop the team. But this is my quick overview regarding the free agency on around the NFL, including injuries and quick shape-ups of the teams. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon for my next videos. Peace.